Welcome, everyone, to the Punk Rock Horror Podcast, Episode 13. I'm Matt.
I'm Cody.
And today is Saturday, and we're actually on our first most concurrent episode. Today, we're going to talk about sounds in horror, specifically unique instruments that have been made and used for horror movies, and how sound is a big part of horror. And we're going to try to get a little sciencey for the first time.
I mean, not just sound, but music in general, too.
Yeah, you know. As long as it's like...
You can't say, like, just sound like, the twangy twang and the ting-tings of metal pipes. Like.
I mean, when you said twangy twang, I thought of, like, just, like, a banjo playing for, like, fucking Jason Voorhees. It's like...
You got a pretty mouth there, Jason.
So yeah, let's just get things started. How has your week been, Cody?
Not too bad. Work actually hasn't been super hectic this week. Like, had a couple ups and downs there, but for the most part, not terrible. Close to beating Far Cry 5, which I'm super stoked about. And then also, like, finally saw Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
So, definitely my favorite out of the Thor movies. Not. I wouldn't say it's in, like, the top of the Marvel list, but it was still pretty solid. Especially, like, seeing as how, like, the other Thor movies weren't, like, regarded as that great.
I think you need to lean in a little more.
Oh my gosh, every time.
But no, I like that movie, too. As a Thor fan... I accepted the fact they're never going to get into the dark storylines because no one liked it when they did. And so, I have to remind people, I'm like, hey, just so you know, Loki goes back and kills his own dad.
Yeah.
And people are like, what? And I'm like, yeah, he kind of like jumps to this weird time portal, kills the ice giant that gave birth to him, that kind of thing.
That whole weird thing.
Marvel.
Yeah. One, I doubt they'll ever do like female Loki too. Because that was a pretty dark storyline.
Yeah, because like he takes on the form of someone who's in a coma, or I think he puts...
Sif. He takes the body of
That's
Lady
it.
Sif.
Yeah, that's right.
And like, seeing as how this movie kind of just like, you know what? Let's not even use Sif.
Well, especially since they gave Surtur a humorous side.
Oh my god, that was... I thought that was so funny. He's all trying to be all deep and demonic, and Thor's like, wait, hold on.
Come back around. Come back around.
I'm not even doing this on purpose. Like, it's doing it on its own. I don't know what to tell you there.
I will admit, I felt like that was kind of forced, because I felt like that's more of like a Star-Lord or Deadpool kind of thing that should have been doing that. Yeah. But, like, it's just funny, because people complained that the second one was too dark, and now they complain that the new one's too humorous.
Yeah, well, I think it was mostly because, like, I think there was a couple misplaced parts for the humor that it didn't really need.
Yeah.
But, like...
I will say, though, like, if it was, the guy who plays the Hulk when he jumped out of the plane.
Mark Ruffalo
fell on the bridge. I didn't see that coming the first time. That was really funny.
I think it's just because it was, like, poking fun of the Incredible Hulk movie, where he's like, I can't Hulk up. And like, well, you're going to try. And they boot him out of the helicopter.
Yeah, I thought that. So there was just...
I laughed when, like, the ghost Loki was there, and then he, like, disappeared, and the rock guy was like, get out of here, you ghost! And kicks the wall.
I got him. That was really funny.
He just keeps going up to everybody, hey, we got a ship. Want to come on? Sure.
I will say I'm a little disappointed, though, because they didn't include all the characters from World War Hulk, because that's what they were doing. Well, not World War Hulk, Planet Hulk.
Yeah.
And I'm a little disappointed because they didn't even include Hulk's love interest.
Yeah.
So, which is really disappointing, because I would love to see Scar, son of the Hulk, actually become a thing.
That would have been cool. I would have liked that, but I think it's mostly because they're not going to do another individual Hulk movie.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, that was a little disappointing, but I got it. They kind of replaced his love interest with Valkyrie, because they kind of had a little thing there.
Yeah,
they still want to have Hulk and Black Widow have their probably a little romantic thing before... Potential spoiler, one of them dies in...
which also doesn't make sense, because...
she's supposed to be in love with Bucky.
And apparently she's just like, can't get gamma radiation poisoning. Whatever.
Yeah, that's okay then.
Everybody's like, oh my god, that'd be so cute. And I'm like, the thing you don't understand is that he turns into the Hulk when his heart raises, not only when he's angry. Yeah. So if he really gets into it and just transforms mid, like already being inside her, just...
It'd be like a whole alien chest burster thing by the tip of his dick. And you're like, oh!
And she can get poisoning from the radiation because of the gamma blood inside of him.
Yep. And what, you think it just infects his blood, not his semen?
Yeah, and everybody's just like, oh my god, I ship them. Like, she will die. And she's a double agent. She kills Hawkeye's family.
Yeah, well, in the Ultimate Universe, yeah.
But this MCU is based on the Ultimate Universe.
I know, but I doubt she will.
I still plan on it happening.
I don't think she's going to betray the Avengers.
I bet you she does some sort of betrayal in Infinity War.
I don't know. I don't think she will. She already did her like little Two-Face thing in Civil War. She kind of took Spider-Man's part from the comics. She fights on Iron Man's side, but then lets Cap and Bucky get away. Yeah, but
that's not legit Black Widow. Black Widow's like a double agent.
Yeah, but they haven't really touched on that in the MCU.
Yeah, but that's why she's such a complex character.
No.
Just saying.
They don't care about that.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Kills all of Bucky's family.
No, it kills all of Hawkeye's family. She loves Bucky.
Oh, sorry, Hawkeye. Whatever. Who gives a shit?
He's gonna die anyways.
It's that or Iron Man.
Yeah. I kind of think so.
Me too.
Anywho, Dilly. How was your week, Matt?
Very, very busy. First of all, thank you to all of our most recent Twitter followers. Mm-hmm. I don't do private thank yous. Nothing personal. I just literally don't think of it.
Yeah, and thank you to some of our new Instagram followers.
Yeah, basically to everyone who's been following us recently, thank you so much. Mm-hmm. Especially those who have found us and reached out to us. Yeah, other than that, nothing too crazy. I passed my second to last class in my college.
Oh, yeah.
With 98%, so that was nice.
Woot.
I did recommend the podcast to a couple of people that I do for during my third job that I'm not going to say on the podcast due to just privacy stuff.
Yeah.
So, basically, like, all I always say is that I give rides. Now, if you're someone who listens to the podcast and you get a ride from me, we can talk it up. You can talk it up. But other than that, I'm not going to share all the personal stuff because I don't want... Yeah, I don't know. It's like a weird double-edged sword.
That's fair. So, but yeah, WrestleMania wasn't that disappointing this year.
Oh, God.
It wasn't that disappointing.
Okay. So, Roman Reigns Brock Lesnar match sucked ass. That was garbage. The John Cena Undertaker match sucked ass, too.
Yeah.
That was boring as shit. Undertaker needs to just fucking retire at this point. I stand by my statement. The dude's like walking glass.
I know. He doesn't look good.
And we have like one friend who's a diehard Undertaker fan. He's like, if you've seen how he's training, he's only trained for a month.
Well, it's not even if you see how he's training, and that doesn't matter. That doesn't stop him from moving like an old man that he is.
Let's just admit it. He doesn't do good matches anymore.
No, and
he doesn't. Ever since he lost his streak to Reigns, he just doesn't do good matches anymore.
He lost it to Lesnar.
Oh. Yeah, because that's the one.
That's
the one everyone agrees on. That's right. But they were trying to make it officially Reigns.
Well, so what they were trying to do was have him lose to Lesnar, and then when Lesnar got the title, have him lose to Reigns, being the only two people to ever beat Undertaker at WrestleMania. Who's the better one?
Yeah.
And then have Reigns win.
God.
Fun fact, he was actually supposed to win that, and then they called an audible in the middle of the match and told him just to stay down.
Jesus. Yeah. God. There were some great matches and there's some boring matches. I like the Ronda Rousey match.
That should not have been as good as it was.
That was actually pretty fun to watch. I like that. I liked Asuka's match.
Asuka and Charlotte. That was probably my favorite.
Although I don't think she should have lost by tap out. I think for someone like Asuka, it should have been a total TKO.
Well, so I agree, but I think the rumor for what's going around like the dirt sheets for that is that they're trying to build up Charlotte versus Rousey next year.
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't see why they couldn't have done both. Because Asuka could have been the women's Undertaker.
Yeah, I know. I agree.
And so it just seems like a missed opportunity. And like I'm not saying Charlotte isn't a good wrestler, she is, but with like Asuka going against Rousey, I feel like that would be more exciting than Charlotte and Rousey.
Yeah, especially because I think Asuka, she does more of a stronger style, like strong style.
Well, she's a striker, and so is Rousey, and so it just makes sense. We're like Charlotte, she's more
technical.
Yeah,
she's a technical wrestler, like her daddy.
Yeah. I don't know. We know WWE is not going to listen. They're going to keep trying to push Jinder Mahal and Roman Reigns and just...
Oh my God, just give up on Jinder. Seriously, either give him a good storyline or just give up on him, like you did before.
We have no problem with ethnically diverse champions.
He's Canadian.
The point being is that when you shove it down our throats to have to like it or to have it to be a thing, when you shove something down our throats, it's just not fun anymore.
No, and it's just... It gets old. Like, the whole thing with Roman Reigns, the fact that they, instead of, like, taking the time to, like, slowly build him up like they did for the past 3 years, like, for his first couple of years as, like, on his own, they're like, Roman, you love Roman. And they're like, boo. Boo, Leslie, no.
Boo. Other than that, we just got a couple corrections that we have to make. Mm-hmm. So in our last episode, I accidentally made a mistake and said Faminka, I think it's Faminka Johnson, her character, she went on to do the Fast and Furious series. And I accidentally got her confused with Jordana Brewster, and Jordana Brewster is the one who went on to do Fast and Furious. So that's my mistake. Also, we had a listener reach out to us and say that we didn't mention Lily Munster on episode 3 for strong females in horror.
Honestly, I don't think we really needed to mention that, but
still, it was a good point. We didn't mention Lily Munster and didn't really talk much about Morticia Addams either. Well, no, I feel like we did, but we could have done more.
Yeah, but my whole thing with those two is like, yes, they are horror themed and stuff like that, but we were talking more along the lines of like strong female characters in actual horror movies, right? Instead of like just horror themed comedies.
Right, but she's still in the horror community.
I know.
And so I understand the point of it.
Yeah.
Of why someone mentioned it. Mm-hmm. And so thank you to that listener who reached out to us to let us know that. Yeah. So apparently Cody doesn't care about your point of view. I do.
Well, it's just like, my whole thing is like we were trying to talk about strong like female characters and like a little more action-packed things instead of the comedic roles. So...
No, I just...
There. I mean, I don't even remember the Munsters that much, so...
I remembered it was like the weirdest family ever because the kid was like a werewolf, the dad was a Frankenstein, Lily Munster was like a vampire, and... I don't know, there's just... I don't think that's how it worked. You know, I'm not even going to try to poke at it. So...
Yeah.
So, Shh. No, it's okay. I understand. You're excited.
Yeah. Erin's a little excited right now.
She's watching Dino Trucks and she's losing her mind.
Boom!
She's like, yes! Dinosaurs and tractors together!
What was this when we were kids?
We had Transformers. It's like the same thing. True. We had Beast Wars.
Okay, fair enough.
It's like the same thing.
I was going to say, yeah, it was more action-packed and stuff. And we did have TMNT also.
Yeah.
I can't really complain about that.
We had big bad Beetleborgs.
Yeah. Or Street Sharks.
Street Sharks!
Or
most, like, Cats, the Radical Squadron.
Yeah, the most punk rock openings ever, and then it just died off randomly.
Yeah, because it was lame.
I know. Street Sharks were awesome, okay? I love that show.
So let's just jump into it. So we wanted to talk about music and sounds used in horror movies and horror TV and even video games. Because you might not notice it or think about it, but music and sounds really definitely deliver the shock and horror of horror movies. And we actually talked about this in our first episode and in our third episode a little bit with the Dead Space game about how important sound is to a horror movie, TV, or what have you, because it definitely instills the feeling of unease or vulnerability or shock. And it's an imperative tool that not a lot of people really think of.
Yeah, because like, I mean, you can do as much as like it's as scary as like silence can be. like once you throw sound in there, that's where it can definitely take the edge off of the horror and stuff like that. But when you're making a horror movie or a horror video game, you want the sound to like
Yeah.
correlate with what's going on, so it makes everyone like scared or uneasy and stuff like that within the movie or the video game or the shows that you're watching. Because like I feel like sound is a really underrated topic talking about in horror, because everyone's like, oh yeah, the gore, oh yeah, the tits. Yeah, and they're like, and there's that one person who's like, that soundtrack is really good, nerd.
Yeah, so we're just going to talk about some of the instruments right now and talk about the movies they've been used in and what, when we noticed that they're being used and the effects it had, so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. So the first one we're going to talk about is the waterphone, also known as the ocean harp or aquasonic waterphone, which is a type of inharmonic acoustic percussion instrument consisting of a stainless steel resonator bowl or pan with a cylindrical neck and bronze rods of different lengths and diameters around the rim of the bowl. The resonator may contain a small amount of water, giving the waterphone a vibrant, ethereal sound that has appeared in movie soundtracks, record albums, and live performances. The instrument was invented and developed by Richard Waters sometime between 1968 and 1969. Several sizes and design variants of the instrument exist. It is played by a soloist and either bowed or drummed. Played as a friction or struck idiophone, with movements to affect the water inside. This combines the resonant characters of the bowl and rods in combination with the movement of the water. The sound of the waterphone is often used to invoke mystery and suspense, and was used in Poltergeist, Alien, and Let the Right One In 2008.
So it's like, it's like.
Also, I went to Wikipedia for all these instruments and to write about them and. Well, right about being copy and paste.
Yeah.
And I actually covered a movie that in our episode 14 that uses the waterphone, and I won't give away what the movie is right now, but it's this type of. I'm trying to think of like how to explain this sound when it's so. I guess like the most oftentimes you see this is when the hero or protagonist of a movie comes to a realization of what's going on. So like key point is if it's a woman who is like being haunted by this ghost, and then she kind of realizes this ghost is related to a disappearance of a little girl. Mm-hmm. That's when like you would hear the waterphone come up, because it's this loud kind of shrieking sound that shoots it right into your gut, where you're feeling what she feels. Where you feel this drop in your gut, like, oh shit, I'm right in the middle of where this actually happened.
Oh snap!
I'm in the middle of this haunting. Oh my god! Like it definitely helps emphasize realizations in a lot of horror movies.
So the sound you'll hear right before you poop yourself.
Yeah, it's like
Well, I'll need to change my britches.
But I mean, what about you, Cody? Where have you seen this instrument been used? Or I mean.
The let the right one in was actually probably the one that really stuck out to me with, because I think it's when he finally realizes like what she is.
Yeah.
Spoiler if you haven't seen it, which I highly recommend.
Hey, maybe we'll cover it one day.
Mm-hmm. Well, future spoiler. But when he realizes that she's a vampire, I think is when they use it. It's either then or when one of her victims like blows up in flames in the hospital.
Yeah.
Like, it's when you realize they are, like, it just kind of, like, sinks your gut, like, this bitch is crazy.
Yeah, because it, like we were saying, it gives that unsettling feeling of, like, your stomach dropping. Mm-hmm. Like, because you're not the character that you're watching. You're not in their shoes. And so that sound is the real definition of, like, what it's like when your stomach drops when you realize something terrible.
Yeah.
Or you see something terrible. And I think that's what's so unique about this instrument is that it hits that pinpoint feeling. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of want to know how they even got to that point. Couldn't really find how they did it, and I tried to keep the info low because there's a lot of instruments we got to go over. Mm-hmm. But it's really honestly just it's astounding that anyone can come up with any of these instruments, especially the waterphone, and to use so many elements just to make this instrument stand out with like the bronze rods and, you know, the water and just how all these things go together. It's like something had to happen by accident.
Yeah.
To where it's just like there's a shipment of bronze rods going across, you know, the state and it falls into an ocean. And then everybody starts screaming because they hear these scary sounds from the ocean.
It was just like kind of like how they probably made the lightsaber sounds. It's just an electric shaver in a metal bowl.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, that's how they do it. And so I was just imagining, like, when I was reading up on these, like, I wonder if that's how lightsabers are made. Like, the dude was, like, shaving really fast, and he's, like, mixing eggs or whatever in a bowl, too. And he, like, drops his shaver in there. He's like, oh, wait a minute, what was that sound?
Sounds so cool.
Yeah, he's like,
I gotta call my best friend George to tell him about this.
Yeah, he's like,
I bet he could use this for a sci-fi movie.
George, laser sword. We're gonna call it a lightsaber.
Why does white lightsaber? That makes no sense. Laser sword sounds so much cooler, George.
Yeah, but it's my movie.
And then figures down the line, I'm going to introduce a character that literally everyone will hate.
Even children.
Jar Jar Binks.
Yes, Misa think that's a bad idea.
Misa think I was a poorly written character. Do you want to go on to the next one?
Yeah, so this one's probably used in more like the older movies, but it's called the theremin, originally known as etherophone or the theraminophone, is an electronic musical instrument controlled without physical contact by the thereminist, the performer. Oh yeah, this is actually used in a lot of older like things. Sorry, sidebar. I just remember what it actually looked like.
No, it's okay because there's another part of this instrument that I wanted to throw out too.
It is named after the westernized name of its Soviet inventor Leon Theremin, who patented the device in 1928. The instrument's controlling section usually consists of two metal antennas that sense the relative position of the thereminist's hands and control oscillators or frequency.
Oscillators.
Oscillators. They read well. For frequency with one hand and amplitude, volume, with the other. The electric signals from the theremin are amplified and sent to a loudspeaker. It was used in The Thing from Another Planet, so the original Thing.
Yeah.
And The Day the Earth Stood Still. We actually played with one of these at the museum we went to a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I was like, hey, Matt! And he totally ignored me when I was playing with it.
I was probably doing something else. I was probably trying to make sure Aaron wasn't lighting anything on fire.
I was trying to tell. I was like, "Hey, Matt, this is the instrument I was trying to tell you about like months ago when we thought about this."
I don't know what I was doing then. Yeah, I also want to point out real quick that there's a band out there that some of our listeners may or may not know of called One Eyed Doll, and it's this 2-person band led by Kimberly Freeman and drummed by Junior. Mm-hmm. Jason Sewell. I don't know if I was supposed to say his full name. Either way,
nice. Now we're in for a lawsuit. Thanks a lot.
Either way, I love the band. They're fantastic. They accompany everything like horror, creepy, goth, rock and roll, metal. Like they're an amazing band, and they're so weird with their sounds that they actually make really beautiful music. And Kimberly Freeman's actually used the theremin for a lot of her songs. Nice. Like she actually learned how to play a theremin professionally, and she does the theremin for a lot of the songs that they've written, and I think for some of her solo work as well. Mm-hmm. And I just want to point that out there that it's still used to this day, and it's a nice, cool little tidbit.
And so if you're like still trying to wonder like what exactly it sounds like and stuff like that, if you've ever watched any, especially it was used a lot in silent horror movies. So like, I think it was used in that vampire's name.
Nosferatu?
Yeah, Nosferatu. In any of like the old movies, and I guess maybe even some newer ones, whenever you hear like that really high pitched like that's what it is. It's a theremin. It's like just some dude standing in the back, like looking like he's composing an orchestra to himself. Yeah. And like that's where all the sound is coming from. Like it's a really cool, really, really cool instrument.
Oh, it does because I think what's cool about the instrument is that it's not used to make scares, but provide uncomfortable atmosphere.
Yeah, because like Could you imagine like walking through your like dark hallway, you're going to use like the pooper, and all of a sudden you hear, it's like, no, I'm going back to bed. I don't care. I'll poop in my bed.
I mean, if it was you doing it, I'd be like, Cody, go to bed. Go to bed or go home.
Like, no.
Go home. Get out of my house.
Go on, get. Scat.
But if a ghost or some guy came up just to set up a theremin where I live just to scare me, I would probably applaud him for the effort. Hold on, wait.
Good day, sir.
I need to plug it in. Wait, come back out.
Yeah.
Come back out in a minute. I'm not ready yet. All right. Okay. Now. Oh my God, you scared me. And then he just puts his hands on his hips and like, well, if you're not even going to try,
yeah.
What's the point of me being here? I'm going to go home.
Do you want me to wet myself a little bit? I do have to use the bathroom.
Here, I'll just put a little water just right here.
Look, you made me pee myself.
Everybody beware the theremin killer. I wasn't going to kill you. You weren't going to kill me? No. Well,
then what's the point? Okay, come on.
Then what's terrifying about you? That you're raising my electrical bill?
Yeah. You know what? I want that $2.50 back.
And that is the story of the lamest serial killer we've ever made. Moving on to the blaster beam. The blaster beam is a concept electronic musical instrument consisting of a 12 to 18 foot, 5.5 meter long metal beam struck with numerous tensed wires under which are mounted electric guitar pickups, which can be moved to alter the sound produced. The instrument is played by striking or plucking the strings with fingers, sticks, pipes, or even large objects such as an artillery shell casing, which is actually... When I saw the video for it, they actually did use an actual artillery shell. So I was like, oh my God, that's totally a fucking man of war instrument.
This is the most metal thing ever. That's how you get your boom.
The instrument produces a very distinctive bass tone, the sound of which is often described as a dark or sinister type of tone. The blaster beam... The blaster beam was designed by John Lazelle in the early 1970s and was first widely used by Francisco Lupica, who had built several out of iron. Was used in the 1990 film Prophecy with Christopher Walken in 1979, The Black Hole, a Disney film, and 10 Cloverfield Lane, which I actually really love 10 Cloverfield Lane. And
I still need to see it.
I want us to do a review on it because it's such a good movie. It's such a good sequel to the first Cloverfield. It's probably even better than the first Cloverfield. And it's...
Even though originally it wasn't even supposed to be a Cloverfield movie.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. It mainly focuses on only 3 people in this bunker.
Yeah.
And it's a very... intense movie to watch, and when you hear something like this blaster beam go off at certain points of it, it definitely scares the shit out of you, because it's kind of... I'm trying to think of like a good way to explain the feeling it gives. You know when like your stomach goes below dropping and you feel like you actually are about to poop yourself? That's kind of what the blaster beam does to you.
I like how we talk about feces in almost every single one of our episodes.
Look, the listeners got to know what they're getting in at this point, okay? We told them we're not scientists. We're not actually decorated authors. Okay?
Authorists.
Okay.
You're totally going to say that.
Authorists.
Authorists. That got me arthritis.
Like, everybody listened to me flip out on Bon Jovi and people not liking Iron Fist. So at this point, people need to know what they're getting into with this.
I was just saying, like when you're about to poop yourself. Yep.
But you get what I'm saying, though. Like, when you're actually terrified,
yeah.
And you just, like, that's the kind of sound that, like, it does to you. That's the kind of sound it emits. Which people are probably wondering, why aren't we including sound bits? That's because we're actually running short on record time, and so we recommend looking all these instruments up on YouTube if you're interested. And so
that's why we're trying to make the sound with our own voices.
Just like we're honestly almost making a Marshmallow song. It's about the same way, right? He just does it with his voice. Just or is that Skrillex?
No, Skrillex isn't that.
Is that Dead Mouse?
I don't know.
What I'm getting at is
same.
All I'm getting at is that dubstep is terrible. That's right.
But he's a scary monster, yo.
That's right. All you edgy, mid-class white teenagers. I'm looking at you. You think your music's so heavy? No, I don't give a shit.
Hey, you know what? I actually like the Korn Skrillex album.
I know. It's like, a lot of people hate it. I get why.
I liked it. I thought it was actually pretty cool, especially because like Korn was like, we're gonna step out of our comfort zone just enough, like just enough to where we can still save ourselves if it goes really terrible. And then they came out with Korn 3, and it was awesome.
I like how we started talking about Korn and not the movies.
Yeah.
But no, so in 10 Cloverfield Lane, where you mostly hear this instrument being used is when you do eventually see the aliens. You know, you do eventually see them invading and stuff like that. Or I don't know if they've already invaded, but either way, when the aliens come into the scene, you definitely hear it then a lot more. And it's really a badass instrument because like it says that they use it. They can use artillery shells. Like I said, like I've seen them throw like an artillery shell like on this like basically obscure guitar, and it's boom, and it's actually really cool, and it seems like such a stress release. Like I kind of just want to get my own blaster beam just to come home and just ding. Dang!
Just imagine, like, when they're doing this for the soundtracks and stuff, like, some dude named Johnny's just, like, standing on top of a little stool, like, with an artillery shell above his head.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is my moment to shine. All right, Johnny, you do it.
He actually went to a Manowar edition, and he's like, they're like, where's your guitar? This is my guitar.
He just picks up a motor shell, like an artillery shell.
What is that? Making metal. And, like, they obviously told him no, and he's like, you just wait. I'll show you. I, John Lasell, will show you Manowar, who hasn't existed yet.
Then they're all sitting there watching the movies. Oh! And then at the very end, it says, this guy, John Lasell, made this.
And Manowar's just like, oh,
damn it.
We fucked up. We fucked up. We should fall off the face of the earth now. We love you, Manowar.
Okay, our next instrument.
Have fun pronouncing this one.
The Onde Smartenot. Haha, bitch.
I don't know if you're supposed to say the S, though.
Onde Martenot.
I don't think you're supposed to say the ending T either.
Well, I didn't. Martenot.
Yeah, you said Martenot.
I did. I said Martenot.
That's like you're about to say,
whatever.
Martin, can you not?
Hey, Martin, can you not? Okay? That's mine. That is my Coke. Coca-Cola. God. Okay. Anywho, the Onde Martenot.
You don't need to explain yourself.
I'm going to keep doing it.
You don't need to explain yourself to them.
I know. You strangers. Strangers in the night. Also known as the Ondium Martenot. The Martenot. I'm going to keep saying it like that, too, with a really sad French accent.
Listeners, reach out to us. Correct us.
Is an early electronic musical instrument invented in 1928 by Maurice Martenot. The original design was similar in sound to the theremin. Oh, another one. The sonic capabilities of the instrument were later expanded by the addition of timbral controls and switchable loudspeakers. The instrument's eerie waving notes. Yeah. Produced by varying the frequency of oscillation in vacuum tubes. The production of the instrument stopped in 1988, but several conservatories in France still offer instruction to students of the instrument. It was most notably used in Ghostbusters, heavy metal movie, and Lawrence of Arabia.
Yeah, the heavy metal movie. That one I was really surprised to see that. But when I saw pictures of this, this thing literally looks like an alien organ.
Yeah,
like an organ player, like an alien organ machine. Like it's because it's got like a triangle head. It's such a weird looking thing. And
I remember seeing videos of people playing like they put their hands in the middle of the triangle.
Yeah, yeah. It is such a weird thing. And
imagine he's tickling a ghost when they do that.
That's actually what it actually is, a ghost catcher, and so it props the ghost's butt.
That's where the Ghostbusters
and then
came from.
And that's you put your hand on the ghost butt. I'm like, there's something strange in here. In this neighborhood of yours. Who are you going to call? Maurice. Oh, Maurice! You dog, you!
Why didn't you tell me this before?
But I'd like to point out how big of nerds we are, because we both just laughed at the fact that the description of this instrument, it was just like, instrument's eerie wavering, and you're just like, like the theremin. Could you tell we were beaten up in school and picked on? Because it's true.
Whatever. I wasn't.
In middle school, were you?
No, I was definitely picked on in middle school.
See, there you go.
Yeah,
because middle school is a terrible time.
I know it was.
If you're in middle school now,
it gets better.
It gets better. And if you're a bully in middle school, I hope you stub your toe for the rest of your life.
Yep. So I hope you lose that toe.
Yeah. Dick. Okay. No, Dick. This one is actually one of the harder ones to figure out where the sound was being used and how to really describe it. And so it's going to be really hard to kind of like give a good example of this, because this is such a weird instrument. It's like I said, it's like something you would see in a sci-fi movie.
I think a good example for it is because I think they used it for like the ghost sounds in Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
So like when the ghosts weren't like speaking, you know, like the library chick, and like I think it's when they all exploded out of the containment breach.
Yeah.
When, you know, the stupid ginger decided to shut them down and stuff like that. And they're all flying around. I think that's when they were using that sound.
Cody Mint Redhead.
I know what I'm about. I grow a ginger beard. I can say that.
Welcome to the Unpolitically Correct podcast, probably known as Punk Rock Horror Podcast.
Yeah. So you know what? I grow a ginger neared, and I'm basically translucent. So.
Neared,
the neck beard.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, because I can't grow a full face of hair. It's just that gross little patch underneath my chin.
It's probably good that you don't grow out your neck beard, because then you're obligated to be a brony at that point.
Well, like the thing that sucks, it only grows out just enough to look like from like from here to your door, which is like 20 feet, it looks like I have dirt on my neck that I didn't clean up in the shower.
Anyways, yeah. With this instrument, this is also like a very revolutionary type of instrument as well, because it's been used in so many other movies like Lawrence of Arabia, which is a huge movie. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not even going to go into that because that's an entire separate conversation. But the fact that an instrument that was used not only in horror movies but in movies like Lawrence of Arabia, yeah. it again. There's always I always make the claim that there's a lot of connections that come back to horror in the horror community that a lot of people don't like to acknowledge. And this is just another one of them. But I guess let's move on to our last one, which is the apprehension engine, which this one's probably my favorite. Is also known as the Nightmare Machine and was invented by Mark Corvin, known for his score in the movie The Witch, or just Witch, and Tony Duggan Smith, who created this instrument with the sole purpose to make a person feel unease and produce disturbing sounds, which, when described by the creators, is quoted, "It consists of metal rulers, which are bowed, a hurdy-gurdy like mechanism, a string played with an attached ebow, and a spring reverb also played with an elbow, some long metal rods, magnets, trash, anything at all to get unnerving sounds." And that's straight from the creators. And this thing is, it looks like it was drawn up by a first grader just scribbling, because it's just like this one like box of like all these weird instruments attached to it, like all these metal parts, guitar strings, a fucking lever, like a spinning levers like attached to it as well. And it's like stuff it makes the exact sounds that you would hear like in movies like Insidious, but out of one instrument. And I think it's completely badass that these guys invented this instrument strictly for the movie The Witch and other movies that they're going to be putting this in as well. Like, and this, the fact that they want to make people feel unease and produce disturbing sounds is just badass. Like, the dude, like, in a interview for the dude who made the instrument, he's like, yeah, fucking Crovin just called me up and he's like, I need a instrument for a horror movie, and the dude's like, all right, I'll pull out all my stuff and see what I can do. And I was just like,
he just
man.
walked into his garage and was like, that'll be scary, that'll be scary, that'll be scary. Let's throw it in a trash can and like,
which, like, if you're gonna make that much, no, that's a little mean. I'll let off. All right, you know what? Fine, no, fuck it. There's no what. If you're gonna make something sound terrifying, you might as well just use the new Five Finger song. And I say that because that song sounds like trash.
Yeah. They did not do a good cover.
Saying motherfucker over and over does not make you a badass.
Apparently it does. God.
Drink monster, let's go ATV riding. I ain't gay, you are.
Alright, let's guess. What?
The lying, the bleeding, the suffering is tearing me apart.
I mean, I like that song when it first came out.
I do too.
I kind of like that.
Their first, like, 3 albums were solid, and then they just basically became Nickelback. They just basically became, like, Nickelback. What is it, Aaron?
What?
Okay, you can go to the bathroom really quick. Do you want to say hi to the listeners? Yeah. Okay, you got to say it really loud. Bye. Say hi, listeners.
Hi,
Say it really loud.
Hi, letters.
Aw, isn't that cute?
All right, go to the bathroom. Hey, Aaron. Yeah? Real quick, come here. Okay. Real quick.
Come here.
Just real quick. Do you like Five Finger Death Punch or dislike for your Five Finger Death Punch?
The punch.
Do you like them or no?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
You don't like them because you think they're ick?
Yeah.
All right, you go to the bathroom now.
Go pee-pee. Cute.
So cute.
The darnest things that kids say.
Oh, them cutes. So yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh, gee.
I'll be right back, listeners. My daughter needs my assistance. Cody, take over.
What am I? No! Don't leave me! Yeah, no, seriously, like, going back on topic with sounds in movies and stuff like that, like, it's crazy how the sound can make or break a movie. Like, welcome back, Matt.
I'm back.
I was just talking about how, like, sound can really make or break a movie.
Is that what we're talking about this time?
Oh my gosh! But, like, seriously, God, let me finish my point. Like, especially in horror movies, like, the sound can totally make or break the movie in that. Like, you can... The wrong soundtrack, if they're going to use, like, actual songs and stuff like that, can totally ruin and pull you out of the experience and stuff like that. Like, could you imagine, like, in Psycho, when he's stabbing the chick in the shower, like, instead of going it's like video killed the radio star, like, because that totally take you out of the immersion. You're like, this movie sucks.
Except to, like, some overqualified art critic who's just like, I get it. The knife is the video, and she's the radio star.
Yeah, and they're like,
it's so perfect.
You conformists just don't understand his message.
So deep.
But, there's stuff like that. Like, I think one that really uses sound really well, kind of going back to, like, last week's things about aliens, is Predator. Like, when the Predator's, like, up in the trees, like, any time that the alien is in or humanoid, whatever the fuck people call it these days. Anyways, when the Predator is, like, up in the trees, and you're like, well, there's some people that, I'm going back to last week, there's some people that are like, it's not an alien, it's a humanoid, and it's like, you can go fuck yourself. So
what happened last week? What are you talking about?
I just know.
Did someone give you shit about not calling him a humanoid?
No, it's more like, I had an argument with someone about calling alien species on, like, Star Trek, and they're like, it's a humanoid, and it's like, it's a fucking alien. It's a Borg. It's an alien. Okay? Does it live on Earth? No, it's a fucking alien. Anyways.
Now you're starting to piss off other Star Trek fans.
Fuck you. Star Wars for life. But, like, whenever you see like things, whenever the predator's like involved in the movie, it has like the jungle sound, the beats, and like the do 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 do, and like it immerses you and like it makes you feel uneasy and everything every time when it's like singing from his eyes. Like if it was complete silence, it could kind of work, but it fit the movie.
Well, one movie that you're talking about had a problem with it was Veronica.
Where, so like
if you haven't seen Veronica, spoiler alert. I don't know if it's that big of a spoiler, but
I know. So like if you haven't heard of Veronica, if you have a Facebook, you've more than likely heard of it. But it's considered the scariest movie on Netflix.
That's never been said before.
Yeah, and that like they were saying 90% of viewers that watched it couldn't finish it and stuff like that. Which honestly, when a horror movie gets that much hype, it's never going to be that good. Like, it really isn't going to be that scary. And, like, for what they did, because they used very conventional scaring things in it, but, like, and it worked for what it was, and you could tell it was actually, like, a very low-key, low-budget movie. But its soundtrack ruined a lot of what should have been scary. Like, it was that... I can't remember if it was near the end or one of the beginning first parts when he first...
Because you said it was like when the demon was coming down the hall.
Yeah, there's a couple scenes of that. Like when you see the Veronica walking down the hall and you see the demon walking with her, like it's kind of a poppy tune playing in the background, and you're like, what the fuck? This isn't scaring me. I'm thinking I feel like they're gonna meet up and do the fucking mambo, and it's gonna scream out, "Don't put baby in the corner."
And actually, I was actually thinking of "Wake Me Up Before You Go Go." That's why you see the demon just coming down the hall. And he like has like a fun feathery hat on his head and a scarf, like he's shopping for his big date. He's like, "I'm so excited! I'm gonna get dolled up. All right, I'm gonna have a great night. I might just marry the guy.
Now I need some mocha frappuccinos.
Pumpkin spice. Oh my effing god!"
Yeah, I'm like, but stuff like that, like it couldn't really take it out. Like another movie that kind of I don't remember if I ever talked about, but that kind of ruined like what I thought it was gonna be was Happy Death Day.
Oh yeah.
So like yeah, I get it. It was supposed to be kind of like a cheesy movie and stuff like that, but even then, like some of the parts where it's supposed to be terrifying, like it played like a more upbeat sound. I'm like, I hope she's dead.
Yeah.
I don't fear for her because it's a poppy sound, so it's like nothing bad's gonna really happen, and she's dead and wakes up the next day. But like, I don't know, like another like, I don't know. I guess it's just like it disappoints me when they choose a wrong soundtrack for things.
No, I understand because it's like the whole point of this is that sound is a sense that most of us do have, and with that being said, is that it definitely, like we've been talking about, imposes the feelings of unease and scare and gut dropping situations in horror movies. And if you don't have that sound, if you take away a sound from a scary movie, it's just a bunch of people running around screaming.
Yeah, like, and there are times that can't work when you take the sound out. Like for instance, Alien, like it's placed in space, so it's like supposed to be silent.
Yeah.
And, like, that works. Or, like, in a video game, like Dead Space, for instance, like, there's not that much music in Dead Space.
Yeah, but can you imagine what it would be like if in Dead Space they replaced all the monsters walking with squeak noises? They're like, squeak, 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 squeak.
Can you imagine if it was the rubber chicken? Like, every time it stepped. Or, like, it busted out of the wall. It's like...
Can you imagine if it was a Nickelback album?
Oh my god. See, that's also another thing. I noticed a good amount of horror movies, like the best ones are when they have their own theme songs that are made for that movie. Like Halloween. Friggin' one thing that I didn't even realize was Nightmare on Elm Street. That was actually all made for that movie also. Especially for being like a big budget movie. Like Nightmare on Elm Street had its own theme song made for it. And then there movies that like use like big rock stars or whatever for like their soundtracks.
Well,
really
let's go on with what you're saying here. Like, so Witch, like we just talked about, the apprehension engine was basically made for Witch and used for the movie Witch. Yeah. And if you've seen that movie, it's definitely unsettling the entire time, and you can give a lot of that credibility to that engine, or to that instrument. Sorry, to that instrument, and that really cemented the creep at factor and uneasy atmosphere of that movie. But let's take it to, Blade Trinity, where they relied on a lot of like kind of generic rock metal songs, music. And it went from a horror movie to being
just an action movie,
just a cut and dry action movie. And I like the movie. I think it has its high points, but like when they do songs like that, it takes you, it gets rid of any horror aspect.
Yeah.
And I understand like it's supposed to be high action like scene, but it's like what you're saying, like if for fuck's sake, like if Sam Smith like song was used on like Nightmare on Elm Street,
oh my God.
I would actually be like, I really do hope Freddy finds the love of his life. It's exciting, accepts their love. If not, their love is so beautiful that they should go run away and be married.
And then Freddy's bride.
Well, sorry, go ahead.
Say, but like the times that like using already established songs can work. I feel like a lot of the times is when they use like older songs. Like for instance,
Tiny Tim.
Yeah, that's actually what I was gonna say. It's like in Insidious, that was already an established song. It was even shown on live TV. Tiny Tim playing it. I think it was on Ed McMahon's show. Ed McMahon's like great game show or great late night show. Or
WCW.
Something like that. No, that's but I'm so disappointed in you right now.
I know who you're talking about.
Anyways, but like using that song because it was old timey and stuff like that, but it had that creep factor that fit that movie. So like, using well established songs can work, but it has to be like in the right thing. Like, okay, a good really bad horror movie that used mainstream songs, Alone in the Dark.
Yeah,
and
that movie was just really filmed weird too, as well, which didn't help it.
But using like modern songs and stuff like that that don't work, like it just ruins it. Like another good one that makes you like get really into the movie that worked was Zombieland. Yeah, I know it wasn't really like a horror movie, but when they like it starts off just with Metallica, For Whom the Bell Tolls.
Yeah,
it gets you into the movie.
Yeah, but because that's the type of movie it's setting you up for. But like the thing is like going off of what you're saying. Okay, so real quick, I just want to add a little more of that. So Metallica's For Whom the Bell Tolls and the opening scene to Zombieland fits it so well to where like it makes me think of the remake of Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about
Johnny
that.
Cash's The Man Comes Around, which to this day, because that opening to that movie, that song still creeps me out. Like I still have it on my phone, but it still scares it creeps the shit out of me because it's when you watch the opening to Dawn of the Dead and you just hear Johnny Cash's low monotone voice. It's usually you think, of like, pain and passion and beauty with his voice. But when you see it in that context, it definitely takes on a whole different kind of feel. So it can be done right when you use modern songs, like even in American Psycho with Christian Bale when he's listening to when he is actually listening to Walking on Sunshine.
Walking on Sunshine. Whoa, thwack.
Although it is funny, it adds to the complexity of the insanity that is that character.
Yeah.
Because he could just go through normal life like everything's still fine. Like, I love this song. I just married Jared Leto, but I love this song.
Walking on Sunshine.
Which I still can't believe for some reason I feel like Jared Leto shouldn't have been in that movie. I don't know why. Because I feel like Jared Leto's way younger than he actually
he looks younger than he is.
And the fact that he's in, I felt like he should have been like 16 when he was in that movie. Yeah, I guess this kind of went by pretty quick. So I guess we should probably get to the end because we do got stories this week.
Yeah.
What I love about these instruments is that they come from people who are geniuses. They're technical geniuses, and they've made these instruments that have connected terrifying sounds in sci-fi, horror, even action flicks. Hell, even Disney with Black Hole, and they're just so goddamn unique, and it's really astounding when you take the time to look at these instruments and you look at how sound is made for horror, and it's really astounding how much of an effect it has on you.
Yeah.
And how much it has on the viewer, and sorry, I'm burping, viewers, listeners.
You didn't even drink any coffee.
It's the passion, man.
Breathe when you talk, man.
So, and then, but yeah, it's just, there's so much that needs to be given to sound. And there's so much attention that should be given to it, and it would be more celebrated, especially these composers, artists, and musicians who go out of their way and make these really great sounds. And it's
because I think it's bullshit that like people for like fucking these the Oscars and stuff like that. You never see any of like the horror like composers and stuff like that really get recognized in those kind of things because it's like, oh my god, they made me feel for Celine Dion. Fuck Celine Dion.
I mean, that is a good song though.
I don't care. Like,
as much as I hate the movie Titanic, it is a good song.
But
so, your final statements?
Yeah, just like, I don't know. My final statement is like when you're like watching a horror movie and you start feeling the unease, just like from sounds, just know that's from a good actor, or not actor, but a good composer and good instrumentalist, and like that's what they're made to do, and just like kind of like appreciate that like that's their oh my god, I can't even think of the name, their niche, and that can happen in a horror movie, and like just the fact that sound has such a big part in that instead of just blood and guts and oh my god, she's dead. You?
I already said my piece.
Okay, fine. Whatever.
Well, I did. Like,
I know.
There isn't anything really to figure out.
Yeah.
I'm just glad we can, hopefully, and people agree that we provided a good light that shines on the subject.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. I guess with that being said,
Cool.
Shall we move on to this week's stories?
Yep, we're going to move on to this week's stories.
All right.
This is the one we can name her up, correct?
Yeah, just the first name.
All right, so this is from our buddy Brant. So this event occurred the night after a combined birthday party with a friend who has a birthday a few days away from my birthday. I was laying in bed upstairs trying to get some rest with my wife, and 2 dogs were downstairs. At some point, I was able to go to sleep, but was jarred awake, but I didn't open my eyes, keeping them closed, listening to hear if it was something in the room that fell. We just moved in and our room still has unopened boxes, so I thought something had fallen again. But as I lay there listening, I feel this very heavy pressure focused on me. I know what anxiety attacks feel like, but it wasn't that. It felt like a very heavy weight and see this being... Hold on. It felt like a very heavy blanket keeping me down for a second. I thought I was having sleep paralysis or a night terror. It wasn't till I clenched my fist that I realized I was awake, still keeping my eyes closed. Still, I look towards my doorway and see this being watching me. That's when I opened my eyes to see if it was really standing there. I don't see anything, but I still feel this heavy pressure weighing me down. It didn't feel like it was malicious, but it didn't feel friendly. It was just standing there observing me. I closed my eyes again, and now it had one hand on the door frame, still staring me down. Then after 10 minutes of this happening, it was gone, and the feeling went away. The next few nights, I would think about this situation and seeing if I could recreate the feeling from that night. Even thinking about it, I did feel weird and a little paranoid, but nothing like that heavy pressure.
And he also did draw and send a picture that we're going to put up on our Instagram after this episode is published. So you guys can see what he was talking about, which was really nice of him to do that. So thank you, Brant.
Yep.
And that's
so the picture is fake.
The picture,
by the way.
Yeah. So people don't freak out. This is his interpretation of what he saw.
Yeah.
The picture is fake. What he saw, totally different.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, this was the friend I told you about when I stayed at his house. I was watching TV.
Mm-hmm.
This was him. So layered stuff like this always happens around him. But actually, he talked to me about that because he heard the episode.
Yeah.
And he's like, by the way, that wasn't Tom. I was like, really? He's like, no, Tom wouldn't have just stood there.
Shit.
So I was like, then who was it? He's like, I don't know who it was, but Tom was the only one there besides my mom and my sister. And I was like,
I'm never going to your place again.
So, yeah, that's really terrifying and actually really creepy, and I would probably poop my pants.
I would.
Over and over and over.
and over. I mean, for me, I would have just, like, I would have had my, like, panic attack.
I mean, what do you think it was that he saw, you know?
I think either it could have been like if that always happens to him and stuff like that, like either something might have followed him. If it was something paranormal,
Maybe it was just
or
something passing by.
yeah, it could have been something passing by too, looking for something.
I kind of wonder if it was kind of scared of him though, because every time like he looked at it, it stopped. You know?
Yeah, it's a weeping angel. But
For all you Doctor Who fans out there,
yeah. I don't know. It also kind of sounds to me like it could have been a sleep paralysis dream also. Like I know he says like he knows he was awake and stuff like that because he was able to clench his fist. But like whenever I've had sleep paralysis moments, like I've been able to like kind of move my fingers and I still see the thing.
well, I mean, when
in it.
when you have sleep paralysis, you can still be aware of your surroundings. You just can't move your entire body.
Exactly. The only thing that could take that takes it away from me from thinking it's sleep paralysis 100% is that the fact that for how long it was. Because I think the longest case of sleep paralysis was 90 seconds. Like that I did researched on.
Yeah, I got you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. On to a second story, which is the return of Billy Fuzzy Toes. That's right.
Mr. Hobbit.
Mr. Fuzzy Toes has sent in another story for us to read because apparently he likes how well we did his first one. Or hers. You never know.
Yeah.
It could be a woman with fuzzy toes.
Yeah. My mom's named Belinda and her parents always called her Billy.
I actually didn't know that.
Yep.
Does she hate that?
No. It's because they thought she was a boy for the longest time until she was born.
I'll call her Billy next time.
Don't do that.
I'm like, Billy!
Don't do that.
So, from Mr. Fuzzy Toes. This happened during my first year at the glass plant I still currently work at.
Sorry. That pause was just so weird.
I thought I was gonna burp. Do you want me? Here,
I still work.
I'll start over. So this happened during my first year at the glass plant I still work at. A few nights prior to the event, I had just marathon Dead Space 1 and 2 just so I could play Dead Space 3 co-op campaign with a friend on the next days off. Well, during the next few days at work, I had taken notice that a lot of the cooling vents in our plant were quite large. The vents in the plant are similar size to the vents in Dead Space, including one in the work restroom. Well, during that week at work, we were experiencing power bumps and blackouts. So when this was happening, the machines would make noises when powering down, and depending on where in the plant you were at the noises, depending on when you were at the plant when the noises occurred, would sound different. During one of my shifts, I needed to use the restroom and went into the stall. This stall was the one to have the large vent above it, and while I was taking care of business, we had a power bump. As the power bump happened, I looked up to see the vent above me. It went from a power bump to a blackout. While still sitting in the stall, I hear the machines whirring down, but through the vent echoing, it made it sound like a necromorph scream. So, for those short few seconds, I swore there was a necromorph coming through the restroom vent, coming to kill me, while I was still in the stall. That was the last time I marathoned any horror game before work.
Oh my god, I bet it helped them go faster, too.
The what? What do you mean?
The sound, he was just like, oh!
Nope, not constipated anymore.
Yeah, I'm just imagining it because it's like, this is going to be my good 5 minutes to myself. Oh, God.
And actually, that makes me think of the scene in Doom where I think it's like Rat is on the toilet.
Yeah.
That's actually what it makes me think of.
It's like, oh, come on, I just needed a shit.
I didn't want to die.
It's just like I just got 5 pounds lighter from that one. From what one? That shit, man. I got the shit literally scared out of me this time. You were in the toilet during that? Yeah, man. Oh, man. Fuck.
Yeah. I'm glad there was an actual necromorph. And just for everybody who's wondering, he's talking about the video game Dead Space. In case, some people couldn't tell what we were talking about.
Yeah.
We do have some older viewers.
Yeah, I know.
Mom, Dad.
Dev.
Younger viewers.
Yeah.
yeah, with that, it brings us to the end of this episode. Those are very solid stories. If you want your stories to be read on our Monday episodes, please send them in to punkrockhorrorpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to keep up with everything that we're doing, I'm currently updating everyone on our Twitter. That's where everyone's going to know first and foremost where we're doing everything. So second, Facebook is going to come second a couple days later or so when I update everyone. But Twitter is the best way to know what's going on with us and to stay current with us. So follow us at @officialphp on Twitter and like us, follow us on Facebook at Punk Rock Horror Podcast.
Follow us on Instagram at Punk Rock Horror Podcast. Hashtag PHP Podcast.
Yeah, please consider supporting us on Patreon. As a little kind of bonus for all of you listeners and being so supportive, what we're going to do is actually release a third episode this time around, giving you guys a full preview of what to expect with our bonus episodes for our Patreon. And this is actually what we're going to do is actually take apart horror film. It's really, really bad horror films.
Yep.
And we're just going to rip them apart and just hopefully provide some really entertaining content that you all like. It's going to be a full episode. This one's going to be for everyone to listen to for free. If you like what you hear and you want to hear more of it, please consider supporting us on our Patreon.
Yeah, they are going to be shorter episodes since we're only talking about the one movie.
Yeah, so it's about going to be like 30 to 40 minutes long, depending how much content we got. So yeah, please consider supporting us on that. And is there anything I'm missing?
No?
Oh, no, yeah. And if you do listen to us on iTunes, please give us a 5-star rating and why you like the show so that way we could stand out in the comedy category. And please send us your stories. And if you have any more movie recommendations for us, send them into our email, punkrockhorrorpodcast@gmail.com. With that being said, thank you everyone again for listening and supporting us and being there for us through thick and thin.
Yep. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.